time, folks. The sides are correct this time. So let's jump into it and take a look at the bans.
All right, well, this time it's for real. So let's see what the Sonics do not want to play with on their offensive side. And it's going to be Nomad. You can't exactly blame them. One of the best cutoffs and, well, best operators for trying to deal with a roam game in the game. Able to get those air jabs out early. Unlikely to get a frag off of those or just play prevention with them overall. Next offensive ban, though, going to come out, and it's going to be the Thatcher. I think everyone was assuming that was going to happen, so we'll be selecting veteran difficulty for today.
Should expect to see probably at least 1 or 2 gridlock picks come out because of that. We've been seeing quite a few teams, most notably the Sonics, try to play around with that pick every once in a while, so the possibility for it to pop back out alongside quite a bit of Lion play is certainly going to be in the cards for this matchup. Now, Valkyrie, not too surprising either, just because of so much rappel play on this map, those outside cameras, too much of a bother to deal with, and Mira, no one should be surprised by this one.
Yeah, I believe as I'm checking these over really quickly, this is the most routine bans that we could have gotten out of either of these guys. And yes, it is going to be the most high priority operator picks across the entirety of both of these squads getting banned out. So, you know, honestly, probably the most plain Jane consulate that we could possibly get. Nothing really too crazy coming out here. No Flores ban or anything that could be something new in the mix that we haven't exactly seen before. But now as we're getting the initial look up here at DarkZero's lineup, looks like they want to be bringing the Jackal along. We haven't been seeing this one too often here, at least get too much work in. We did see it in the consulate match earlier today.
Explains part of the reason as to why at least Sonics would have chosen to not ban out the Flores, as well as DZ still opting to bring the Ash to the table instead of the Flores. So we're going to see Panda be picking that up quite consistently, more than likely, unless they have a specific reason to throw that in. But either way, no surprise on the initial site choice for Sonics either, as they go right back down to the basement. And currently, we're not long for starting this match, as we did get a rehost call from DarkZero. We'll stand by on approval for that one as soon as we get it, and hopefully, assuming it is approved, there we go. We will really quickly restart things once again before we jump into this game completely.
Well, yeah, looks like we're not exactly going to get the start we wanted, John. So back to us, back to looking around the stage and waiting to get back into the lobby. But luckily enough, this matchup is interesting enough that we got some things to talk about. Obviously, console has been a pretty hot topic across all of North America. It's seemingly, at least off the top of my head, I'll grab these stats for us actively here, that this is the most played map that we have right now, I'm pretty sure, which
I mean,
is
it
not
makes
something
sense,
that we've...
Sonics record.
Yeah, exactly, right. And the other thing is it's not like it's been a map that's been a very high priority, at least inside of North America.
Yeah, no, I mean, I would agree with that. I think it's coming down to the fact that the Sonics are once again picking it for all of their matchups. And then I think most of the other teams have either, you know, had to play it at some point, either as a result of going up against the Sonics or just feeling quite comfortable. So it's just such an old map at this point that normally we see it kind of thrown in once in a while anyway. So I think that's why we started to see it pop up once again. I don't know if there's necessarily a preference for teams, obviously with Sonics being the major exception to that, starting to shift back towards this map. I think it's more circumstantial that we've seen it be so prominent this season or this stage.
Honestly, this stage seems to be the exact opposite of what we were seeing the last stage, or just for North America in general, because I'll read you down the plays. Excuse me. I'll read you down the plays that we have so far for all of these maps. So far, for console, we have 5 plays. For Chalet, we have 3. Villa, we have 3. Cafe, we also have 3. Oregon, we have 2. Coastline, we have 1. And the least played map out of all of these maps by round count, Clubhouse with 12 rounds. That's it. I would have said that at the beginning of the season, John, you would never have agreed with me.
Where was Oregon at again? Is Oregon kind of low on that
Oregon's
list too?
third. Oregon has the third least rounds played. It has 16. It has 1 more round played than Coastline does.
I would say the Clubhouse makes sense when you consider that, like, that was a lot of mainstay map. That was the the mainstay map for a lot of teams over the last year or so, especially SSG, right, until recently. And then I think the Sonics even kind of took over that mantle a little bit too. So I think a lot of teams are trying to avoid that just because so many other of their respective teams inside of the league here are so dominant on it. It's such a brutal map, it seems, to try and work your way into. So teams are definitely not favoring it in this stage.
Yeah, absolutely. And luckily enough, my friend, we're back into the game and we have other things to talk about now. The Sonics on defense once again, and hopefully, cross your fingers, there is not going to be any issues. So we're going to be headed to the basement first things first, and obviously it's going to have to be the exact same operator lineups for both of these squads that we had in our previous false start. So either way, though, getting down to brass tacks, it looks to be a very similar defense from the Sonics that we saw previously on their consulates.
All right, so looking like we still might not be there as of yet, folks. So stand by once again. As of the time being, the round is still live as the admins have not called a confirmed rehost. But if they do,
oh, you're kidding.
we will let you know. And
Yeah.
go right back to the lengthy discussion. All right, so yeah, no start yet. Still,
Well,
and the Sonics are just, yeah. The Sonics just started team killing each other as well. So it's a real good thing that that round didn't stick. But
well, Kansan, it looks like your rating's going to go back below 1.0 there, my friend.
that's the question
pretty rough.
now. Do those stats stay?
Oh man. Well, I mean, yeah, consulate, guys. I don't. Well, we're really down to the bare bones here, John. I'm not gonna start asking you about how your day went, but
this is like we can talk about like a weird thing that happens with casters here, right? Like normally we at least get one round out of the way before this happens, so like we would be able to talk about that round in a very in-depth way. But even that hasn't happened yet. So
you want to in-depthly talk about how Grixer shot Kansan?
I didn't even see it. I was alt tabbed. I just tapped back into the kill feed, so I can't even do that right now.
It was a very nice shot. First of all, it was a headshot.
Oh, was
so
it nice?
Yeah,
very good stuff.
Somebody might want to check that guy's PC. I think he has walls. I don't know.
All right. Well, everybody is back in. Obviously, we've honed in on the process for resetting the lobby pretty quickly. So everybody is back in, and all 10 are in their correct positions. We just have to start it and cross everything we have that this works.
The only joke that my brain could possibly think of right now was that we were just like really attempting the speed run today, and we just got to the part that was a little bit too complex, and it was like, nah, just fell off the bridge 3 times, ruined our entire run. It's over. We gotta start the whole day back over, guys. Get production in here. We need to get Kicks and Jacob back. Not maybe Jacob. Where's Parker? I mean, he can cast with a deviated Santa, right? It'll be fine. Be okay. No.
Well, let's see. Let's see if this will finally yield us a valid round here, as we're going to once more go back into the basement like we talked about already. Should be the same operator lineups and all that good stuff, so we'll just see the setup one more time for the Sonics, and like we said, fingers crossed, hopefully everything is working this time.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, I really don't want to restart the day. That would be the worst thing ever. So the Sonics, though, back out onto the field. Obviously going to be sticking with what we talked about the last time, the exact same lineup, because you have to stick with the exact same lineup when you lock it in and have a rehost. So we're going to see this from both sides. But the real question is, what happens with DarkZero's clear here? As we saw inside of the previous round starts, the Sonics are going for an extended roam here. And they usually hold this around the projector area and just worry about this admin push coming across. We'll see how this works out for them. DarkZero do have, well, everything necessary in order to get an execute to go off here well. I like that they're bringing BC with thermites, especially with the smoke, so they have more opportune moments to try and get a plant down.
Now, this is that extended play from the Sonics that we've seen from them on the 3 other attempts that they've had on this map as well, and this has had somewhat mixed results depending on the team they've gone up against. DarkZero obviously going to be a really great test overall for this, so I'm really curious to see how this round ends up panning out in an overall sense. DarkZero, of course, with the advanced drone intel probably already telling them there's quite a bit stacked upstairs. They're going to waste no time trying to gather some intel up here, although as you're going to see, it's not so easy. They're having trouble getting these drones into the window to begin with, as both the Mozzie and Mute are going to be blocking quite a few of the access points here for DarkZero to get that initial intel, just to get them access to admin here. Thankfully, they see it's all clear, and Panva is going to be the first to hop in, although he won't be entirely safe just yet. There's many members of the Sonics lurking right around the corner here.
It seems to be Yeti and Kansan upstairs for the time being, and yes, it will be. Yeti holding down top of admin, whilst Rexon also holds on to Tellers. Really like this defensive setup so far from the Sonics, the way they're playing off of each other. DarkZero obviously going to be dealing with this top clear. BC dedicating one of his exothermics to Yeti's safe haven. So that will be destroyed for now, and he's not going to be able to hold on to that. Nitro Cell out won't deal any damage as he'll get pressured from Eclipse, but doesn't seem to be aware just yet. Eclipse pushing the envelope. They're going to go immediately into the bomb site. Already inside a kitchen. Grixer gets one. He can't get the second one. Instead, Panbazoo takes him down. Takes down 3. As soon as he simply walks into sight, able to take down Super and Yeti. Finally, a refrag from Kansan on the opposite side of White Van. And this is going to leave DarkZero in pretty dull straits. NJR, the only remaining member, he'll get taken down from Kansan inside of the garage as well as the Sonics battle back from some opposite pivotal positions.
What an interesting round. It kind of looked like a laser tag arena there at the end. Just so many players getting tagged for really random positions, it seemed, because things are chaotic right from the start. We saw one of the members of the Sonics, I believe it was Grixer getting isolated out there, lost a lot of HP, and then was eventually taken down by eventually took down, I should say, one of the members of DZ with his sidearm or something like that. And from that point forward, we saw just the outright push from DZ into the basement. Sonics did not have the best overwatch on that back staircase, which allowed a pretty straightforward execute to go off pretty well for DZ. Ultimately, though, not with enough control as in the late round there. They do not have the positions needed to close out. And as a result of that, the Sonics come back with those final two players in the garage and are able to shut things down for their first round.
Yeah, it was a fantastic attempt. I really like what the thought process there was for DarkZero. They just weren't able to get off the initial frags that they needed inside of Kitchen. I think that's the biggest deal there. They initially get traded out for Grixer, and then everything starts to storm back into the Sonics' favor as soon as Kansan's able to grasp a hold of the situation. Pambazoo with some huge plays there, and that's the biggest highlight for me from DarkZero, is that if you look across the scoreboard, Pambazoo is the only one that had any influence inside of the kill department across that round. You need some other people to step up when somebody gets a triple kill like that.
Very, very true. We'll have to see if DarkZero can quickly correct things. Obviously, it'll be a different site this time. The Sonics shifting themselves up into the lobby hold instead, but still going to see that extended second floor play from the Sonics. Did not see that come out too heavily, save for maybe what went on with Grixer in the mid-round that we really didn't get to catch on camera, but probably going to be a much more active role inside of this round due to how much more relevant it is to the actual site play. Sonics can't really give these positions up willy-nilly anymore, as it will mean a lot of negative consequences for them when it comes to the late round play. We can already see Yeti in that same position over here towards the Visa stairs, watching out for the initial admin control, which has already been brought out by Panva, taking the same exact path he did back in round one. From this point forward, though, where once again, things get a lot more difficult as Sonics have the active setup to stop this push.
And creative defensive setup yet again, but Yeti going to be quite the similar position to what we saw him in the last time, holding down on admin stairs. Has a nitro cell to be able to try and counter out the play for the wall, but they're not more than likely going to thermite this time around. We'll have to see what they want to do with that, as actually BC no longer on the thermite in general, instead on the Soma carrying ace, which could definitely assist in what the push they're going for right now is. Just as clear across, try and get some pressure onto the back of projector, but these impacts currently stunting them in the process. BC only having one more Selma, seemingly tossing that out. Don't exactly know what he was going for on that. Could be destroying a piece of utility or something along those lines, but could have also just been checking for an ADS in general. As for the Sonics, though, they're simply going to sit on this setup and let DarkZero spin. They're continuing to dedicate drones and everything else to figure out what's going on upstairs.
Half the round gone by and not a single point of damage taken by anybody in the server right now. DarkZero hunting so desperately for an opening opportunity, but have not been able to find it as of yet. Despite having seemingly good intel on the setup from the Sonics, it's just not a very easy situation to try and work their way past. DarkZero shifting a lot of their presence over towards that second story balcony, and obviously you've got a player sitting upstairs in that position, ready to pounce on anyone that might overpeak. We haven't had that happen as of yet. Needless to say, we've also got the players from Sonic slowly starting to rotate back towards the basement, and so far quite successfully. Yeti all the way back down, just in case DarkZero tried to sneak their way in like they did in the last round, which hasn't happened. And now they've lost their front and forward player who was the first to move into admin. Panva's gone down to the ground, although he's not been confirmed as of yet. It's not looking good for DarkZero the rest of this round, although some bottom spiral control might still lead to at least a plant for them here as they're working their way in there now. And there's going to be the first plant attempt coming in from BC. Rexon on the flank, but Hyper trades it out instead. Kansan is going to have to try and course correct. Thankfully, Grixer's already done that inside of the site itself by dropping the diffuser. Kansan over peaks, though, gives himself away. That's going to allow NJR to trade. Grixer, though, once again saving the day as he gets 2 more kills at the end of the round and shuts it down for the Sonics.
Fantastic defensive round so far from the Sonics, particularly inside of the second round, just not letting DarkZero have any control across the entire map. Yes, DarkZero able to get control of tellers and push their way towards grass and eventually attempt a plant, but they needed somebody to hold on upstairs, and that player was Pambazoo. They get him to suicide balcony and try and have him hold down projectors, specifically for the hatch. They don't want anyone to have influence over that, so they can attempt a plant. They try and get everybody else set up around that area, area, including Hyper for Spiral, but we saw what ends up going down. The Sonics get a good flank off with Kansan, of all people, on the Alda to take down Hyper. BC ends up getting taken down from the hatch. Just not enough control across the board to try and stop any of this from happening to them. Not even any basement control, and that could have been a whole other fold that came into the mix, but we just didn't happen to see it.
So we've already seen two different extremes for DarkZero here, and this tech pause that we have in front of us right now will actually serve as a good opportunity for DarkZero to break down these first two rounds as well. They really need to try and find a fine point here, as unfortunately, at least when it comes to the early round, they don't seem to be making much progress with regards to actually clearing out the roam game for the Sonics. That will continue to be an issue throughout the rest of this half if they don't come up with a plan for that. So hopefully that's part of what the discussion is revolving around. Now, in the late round, as we've already seen 2 times in a row, they've got that capability to trade out on a 1v1 basis, being able to take all those fights and try to keep control of things as they work their way down. But that inability to control the roam game right now is allowing for Sonics to have way too much clutch potential to add someone in that DZ may not be expecting in a late round situation, and obviously change up the round into the Sonics' favor ultimately.
Yeah, this has been very difficult so far from DarkZero. That initial round was obviously had a pretty good chance with the initial picks. They try and force it into Kitchen. We all saw how that ended up going. But inside of this previous round, this was just Sonics all the way. And I think the thing that's standing out right now for me for DarkZero is the usefulness of this Jackal that they have on NJR. We haven't seen too much influence from it just yet. So this could be something that they change out down the line. We've already seen an exchange for Ace over to the Thermite. Could be another reason as to why Jackal's inside of this lineup. They just want something else that has the smokes, but we haven't seen them use those at all either. So it's really just what is the game plan for DZ right now, because the clear right now is not being helped by Jackal or really not even being pushed per se. Instead, they're looking to just try and gather some control on the map and then go for these executes. At least that's what's happened inside of these last 2 rounds, and it's just simply not working.
And it's not like they don't have any control at all. Panma, for instance, has been allowed into admin like 2 times in a row now. So they at least have some bit of a staging ground to work off of here. It's just either an inability or an unwillingness to act upon that initial groundwork and then transition it into an actual clear or obviously like a kill or something of that nature here. So DZ is hitting a wall and has not found an easy way to either hop over it or blast through it as of yet. But like we said, this pause, which is getting pretty lengthy at this point, should have given them more than enough time to come up with at least an idea for a possible solution going into round 3.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that there's definitely adjustments for right now to take it to the Sonics. The Sonics console is looking very similar to the console that they've been running the entire time. So I don't think that there's anything too new that DZ are going to have to deal with. But at the end of the day, you can do all of the homework and all of the stat checking and everything else. You still have to play the game and win. That's the biggest thing. So right now for DarkZero, I feel like the initial plays that they've had, especially with Pambazoo, have been extremely, extremely solid. But they just need to get a better grasp on the situation before they try to go for these plants, because Sonics have been able to come back time and time again. Finally, though, we are going to get Rexen back in, speaking of the Sonics, so should be back in momentarily. They're going to be going to the split site as well as their third site on their site, Triangle, so we'll have to see how that goes.
Did just get the all clear from the Sonics. We're working on a PC issue for anybody that was curious, so hopefully we have that all sorted now and are ready to resume the action once the admins give us the all clear and actually restart the game itself. Could be just a couple more seconds here and then we'll be good to go, like we said, on that split site, where once again, just to bring up the point, that roam game is not going to go away. In fact, it might double itself down on the second floor here because of the fact that the Sonics know it's been working so well. So we'll have to see. DZ are still going to have to fix this early round issue that has been plaguing them in the first 2 rounds. And here we go, finally back in the game. Time to see if DZ have the solution now.
Okay, we'll see if any 6 picks come through. We're going to have one. It's Super toying around with a couple of different ideas. Is he going to land on the Frost? It seems so, and definitely a site that you'd want to take this as well. Plenty of windows, not only from the outside of the building, but also inside the building, hopping into tellers. So could be a pretty useful welcome mat to have anywhere around there to catch somebody off guard, but we'll have to see down the line. As for the rest of the lineup, though, this is what Sonics have been running for the majority of this match, especially Rexen on this Wamai.
Frost going to be no surprise as an addition to this situation as well. We've been seeing her played more and more. We've kind of talked this point to, or I've talked this point at least to death as of late, just how useful she started to become. And That's continued to increase to more and more sites, with Super bringing it out now here on the split site. We'll see how well it works for them with delaying things when it comes to the Visa pushes. Aside from that, though, Soniqs once again putting a lot of presence upstairs here, including wall reinforcements. You can see they've made quite a little fortress for themselves by vending it inside of the copier room too. So a lot of delay capability to come out here for the Soniqs, and for DarkZero, a lot to work past.
This is 3 separate strategies that the Soniqs have surrounding this admin stair hold with Yeti inside of it. I don't know if Yeti's back in it again. Actually, he is. So yes, there's going to be 3 separate strategies, 3 separate sites where Yeti will be playing the exact same position. So you can see just how important that area is for the Soniqs. And you can't exactly blame them. Admin stairs starts off a lot of different things for this map, specifically on this site, but across the board anyways. It's a big rotation point. You're able to abuse short desk, at least vertically, to watch the bottom of admin stairs. There's a lot of different things going on in that area, and it's just a good idea to keep a hold of it if you're allowed to.
Once again, that early aggression coming out specifically from the admin side is going to force out some action from DarkZero to come specifically towards the balcony and inside of console to try to make their early control instead of where they've been doing it before, sending Panba into admin. Obviously, they can't really do that because of the bunkers set up, as well as the more active presence they have close to that room. So seeing what you see now instead, Hyper already at top yellow here, starting to restrict the access on the other side, but is that going to be enough to allow the rest of the team to make forward momentum closer to the site, as ultimately this play right here is just a side piece to the play on site, which will become much more relevant later on in the round itself.
Well, it's going to be a garage side offense here from DarkZero. And then we see every once in a while when it comes to the split site, but it's a new look for the Soniqs on this defensive setup, all apart from what we were talking about with Yeti upstairs. They are attempting to get rid of the shield, but this is mostly set up for these crosses to have this Jaeger Kanzen able to hold things down and assist Grixer or Yeti. He's playing inside of that position. They're continuing to hold on to this top floor as well. He'll be able to get rid of the Selmas and everything else. This has been such a beautiful defensive showcase so far from the Soniqs. DarkZero looking to transition now, seemingly not able to bunker bust this top floor.
Less than a minute left. DarkZero once again facing a very ugly wall that they have not been able to successfully burst their way past just as of yet, and Soniqs are feeling quite confident in the rest of their capability. Now, it's not to say DarkZero don't have anything going for them, so the Jackal position specifically in the basement could still lead to an execute in that specific site, and Eclipse finding the opener against Yeti also is a good promising start, but what's going to follow this up? Grixer's not been dropped as of yet. He's been a major thorn in the side of DarkZero here. Panba being very patient upstairs, finally grabs a kill himself against Kanzen. Super, though, holding things off from down below. He's picked up 2 kills on his own regard and is still alive. Finally going to be dealt with by NJR, however. Leaves everything on to Rexen as the rest of the defense has fallen apart, and ultimately BC takes out Rexen before he can rotate, giving DZ the round.
Okay, so the Soniqs, I mean, fantastic defense up until they started swinging everything. I don't really know what went down there with the swing everything method, because we didn't really get to see what happened downstairs. But the top floor, definitely the case. Ends up that Panzaboo is able to take down the Jaeger, transitions that into pushing into connector, and takes down Grixer as well, able to take down those top floor players. And then we end up getting on board with the Soniqs down low. They've lost a member. It seems that Super is really the only one that's existing in the basement any longer. And the strange thing for me is that DarkZero really didn't have any forceful plays to make any of this happen. It was more the Soniqs just simply leaving their areas and getting taken down. I mean, we see Grixer get the spot on the DarkZero member starting to work with Teller's window. He runs back upstairs, still has the exact same spot that he can play. He pushes into Projector at the same time that Jaeger swings out the long haul, and he ends up getting taken down. So now they know Pambazoo's upstairs, but then he still gets Grixer as well. It's just a lot of misplays happening inside that round for the Soniqs, but still a solid defense overall.
Well, you guys can go ahead and check out the Soniqs' new skin in-game. You just saw a flash on your screen right there. They've got a new TCSG 12 skin. If you guys are interested, go ahead and check it out now in the Siege store if you're interested in supporting Sonic and their players.
Yeah, those Sonic skins, absolutely gorgeous. You guys got to go check those out. Honestly, when the Soniqs initially got a skin and we hadn't seen it yet, it's like, okay, what is this going to be exactly? What are they going to go with? But I've been very, very impressed with the Soniqs gun skin so far. So make sure you guys go check that out inside of the store. There's a bunch of different stuff that you can buy. But priority the Soniqs, guys. You got to support Super and the ways that he wants to make Siege great again.
Well, already some quick momentum from DarkZero as they're focusing very much on the important objective points as they go for a garage attack once again. Trying to go for that early opening of the garage panels. Here we go as they're going to be able to use their first one. No way, they're going to be rushing this again. They push themselves straight forward through smokes, and Soniqs do not expect it at all. One of them goes down mid-reload. Finally a trade from Grixer, but it's a small gesture. The case did go down. Grixer was hoping he could capitalize upon that, but it's stolen away, I believe by by Eclipse, and they'll be able to get closer to the site, starting to put their diffuser on the ground now. Coming down to Kansan and Grixer. We're the off-site players, but are now the only players that now need to clutch this out 1v4 as they've lost Grixer. Kansan goes down as well. NJR gets both of the final kills. What a play from DarkZero to tie this game up.
Well, it's a rush strat, and it ends up working out for them. It was a little scary there for just a split second when we start seeing the Toxic Babes go down, as well as the Malusi grabbing a hold of 5 people all at the exact same time. That usually doesn't bode well for the offense. Either a Nitro Cell's coming in or there's about to be a lot of frags, but that's not the case. DarkZero wins every single one of their gunfights on the entry, ends up having a 5v2 right before BC ends up getting taken down. So amazing start for them, able to get the plant down after that and just simply nab the last 2 roamers. Not too big of a deal for them once those initial kills were able to get swept under the rug, to simply hold onto the staircases, and if a hatch is open, somebody's got to watch that and move on with your day. DarkZero tie things up 2-2 as the Soniqs will head back downstairs and probably be very prepared for somebody to burst through that garage.
Well, let's see now if the Soniqs will truly be prepared as DarkZero take one out from under them, it seems, in that last round there. But either way, works out to a flawless strategy. Regardless, Soniqs thinks they have the situation contained with the deployment of their gas grenades as well as other utility, but it is certainly not the case. DarkZero brute forces their way right past that onto the site, and the off-site players are left with really nothing to do about it. NJR has the cross covered for both of those flags going in, and he easily picks up the double kill at the end of the round. Now time to see if the Soniqs themselves can quickly rebound on another attempt, or if DarkZero, like Stokes was saying, actually going to be allowed to do the same thing yet again. I doubt it as well, but let's take a look at it.
I'm doubting it even further simply because BC does not have thermite, and you kind of...
Let's just say it. It's not going to happen again.
Need, yeah. I'm going to go out on a branch here, all right? I don't think that they're going to do this strategy. This is probably going to be EC. Please live. You need to be alive for DarkZero. Like really, really alive. Like, if Grixer hops this window and he kills you, I don't know how you guys are going to win this round, but it's probably going to be through frags. Oh, this is so very scary. Grixer is literally playing with BC's emotions right now. He's got a Claymore, though, so he'll be able to Claymore this and at least guarantee the 1-for-1 if Grixer does do something spontaneous, but somehow, you know, all awesome all at the same time and ends up getting that frag. Either way, though, DarkZero, starting to open the playbook here on the offense. We've got Hyper on the Twitch now as they'll begin this top clear. The Soniqs back upstairs as well as they'll be holding on to front desk and CEO, simply moving the goalposts back and forth across the building as to where the bomb sites lie. They're downstairs, and the main thing is garage. Well, we better hold on to CEO. Oh, it's split? Okay, cool. We're going to hold on to the admin side as well as copy and admin stairs, which has been there back and forth throughout this matchup.
Yeah, but just taking care of some utility really quickly here before focuses on the rest of the push between him and Hyper, as they're still trying to clear out the upstairs portion of this map. Making good use of the time here so far. Wouldn't necessarily be worried as the clear has been done with about a minute and a half to go on the clock. I say the clear's been done, but Grixer apparently disagrees. He takes one last little peek up the steps and gets a point or two of damage on the Hyper in the process before ultimately finally completing the fallback all the way downstairs once again. Still have Rexen in position over here by the bathroom, though, and quite a tricky position, too, as he's got a bit of mobility from that spot. That does mean if we see an emphasis put onto it by DarkZero, that he could very easily be isolated out and taken down. With the amount of rotate options that are available, Rexen is easily able to fall back there and get back into a good position in the basement, now wanting to play out this final minute on the clock.
On down to the utility for now. Yeti will get a very nice timing on that Nitro Cell, as you were saying. The sledge goes sky high. Eclipse living no longer. Under the other soft breachers to try and break up Piano. More than likely going to be Pam Bazoo with those breaching charges as well as breaching rounds. But they need to try and get a pick onto the Soniqs. You can see the Soniqs already pushing the limit of the cage that DarkZero has put them in. Trying to rotate up spiral stairs right now is Rexen, but hasn't went for the play just yet. Still have a couple of DZ members on these crosses, but they need to get forceful now. BC able to procure himself one, but no, it's actually Yeti who ends up getting the kill onto Pambazoo. It's a 3v5, make it a 5v2 now as BC will be down. Hyper trying to pick up the pieces. It's a triple for Yeti now as he's simply dashing back and forth in between the garage panels. Hyper gets one, NJR will get the other, but they have zero time. Grixer will get the last frag that truthfully means anything, and the Soniqs with another defensive round here to push up past DarkZero once again.
Bit too straightforward, unfortunately, for me on the execute coming in there for DarkZero. Soniqs were pretty much ready for everything that was going to be thrown at them in that final minute after they successfully pulled back the entire extended game. And unfortunately, DarkZero, from what I could tell anyway, didn't seem to have much pressure coming in on the back Visa stairs or spiral or anything like that. So Soniqs basically just have a very one-dimensional hole to play through, and they have no problem wasting out the remaining bit of time. Even though DarkZero was starting to trade towards the end there, it mattered not because there was no time left for them to try and put the case down on the ground.
The Soniqs simply had too much utility when it came down to it. You start breaching open walls and trying to take gunfights and things like that, but the vertical angles weren't necessarily assisting them either. They didn't really have coverage for where Super was playing over near pipes. He continues to have like some semblance of something going on around yellow, whereas the rest of the Soniqs are just simply sprinkled around the bomb site. Obviously, we saw Yeti going off, I believe, from Kitchen, able to procure quite a few frags around the yellow area as well, but they were not letting a single DarkZero member through that garage at all. And really, that's up to how DZ were handling that. The early round was quite strong. They were able to get control of Piano, but as soon as they do that, the Soniqs had already backed everybody off, and they start going in and working on the utility game. Nitro cells start to fly. They're able to procure a couple of frags, and DarkZero cannot battle back. They don't have anyone upstairs to be able to hold on to any of these angles, preventing the Soniqs from pushing out. It was just, hell in a handbasket when it came down to trying to hit that bomb site.
Soniqs with some really good control over their pacing right now, especially with players getting hyper-aggressive between Grixer and Rex and trying to peek out windows every once in a while and getting quite a bit of damage on the members of DarkZero. You'll note that BC took nearly half of his life away right at the beginning of that round due to a play of similar nature. So we're going to have to wait and see once again how DarkZero looks to course-correct things as they have their final attack in front of us right now. It's been the unorthodox strategies that's usually been working out the best for them. It's not looking like we're going to see anything like that necessarily in this round based off of the way these first 40 seconds have gone. Much more by the numbers here for DarkZero as they've taken the usual route, putting Panba in first towards admin, and he'll have about a player or two moving in with him to support. In fact, it looks like it might be a whole lot more than that as we got possibly 4 players working together to take admin control right now.
Well, Summon Charge goes off on the panel yet again here for admin stairs, as we would assume. DarkZero definitely aware of Yeti's positioning routinely inside of these strategies, so they want to get rid of this off-rip as soon as possible. The closer that M590 is to you, the more of a detriment it is to your team's overall health. We'll just put it that way. Either way, though, the Soniqs going to continue to be able to sit on this top hold. This is looking to be quite the interesting round here for DZ. The last time that we saw them go into this, BC ended up burning quite a few Selmas trying to get a panel open to deal with Yeti, but they've been handled time and time again from my discs as well as impacts. Yeti with a beautiful move here. He'll be able to take down BC, no longer having Selma charges. Yes, he'll get refragged from Eclipse, but honestly, you got to give it to Yeti. That's a huge pick inside of this round.
It's a bit unfortunate he doesn't spot the player lower that's trying to take out utility there on a prone position, as he very easily probably could have translated that into a double if he'd played that out a little bit better. But either way, for what was going on in the situation, the kill he got was a brilliant one, stolen away. Just misses that player down below and opens up a trade opportunity. So DarkZero stay in it, though, in a 4v4. But once again, time is very much, in my opinion at least, on the side of the Soniqs right now. We're down to that final minute. DarkZero has a little bit of control to try to swing across the lobby with here, what you can see on NJR. But take a look at Kansan. He's already set up to partially counter that. You still have all the presence upstairs for the Soniqs, which can work vertically against any execute that would come in from DarkZero here. It's not looking pretty. However, with that said, DarkZero have still been able to win rounds like this. So we'll hold our breath for the next 30 seconds and wait to see what happens.
That's the biggest thing. You can have it straight in your head as to how the round's going to go, but Siege seldom gives you that exact manner. Kansan with a big frag. Second one, no. NJR shuts him down. More than likely aware of the push from Antichamber, but he can't deal with it. Rexon takes him down. It's down to Hyper in a 1v3, but Grixer from upstairs yet again handles Suicide Balcony, handles the lobby. What can't this guy do for the Soniqs?
Very, very promising half coming out there for the Soniqs roster. Great working, especially of the early round on the defense. There's not really a time that I can remember, say from when we saw the very aggressive strategies from DarkZero, where the early round had been beaten, so to speak, and that more than likely happened because of the fact that DarkZero took direct control of the site, as we had with their rush play against the basement hull there, and you can even say that a little bit about round 1, too. So Soniqs have nearly a perfect early game throughout that half, and we're going to have to see if they can translate that into the attacking side to try to close out this game with a 4-2 lead.
So DarkZero are able to get around off of, excuse me, they're able to get around off of Garage as well as their split take. The split take we talked about it, the defense just kind of overswinging really when it came down to it, but DarkZero were able to win their gunfights, not trying to take anything away from them. That's still a big deal, obviously, especially when you got people like Grixer shooting at you. It's quite the big deal. But besides that point, the Garage push was the only other thing that we saw as a winning strategy there, which was a rush. So really, you know, if the Soniqs are able to play fully into their own hand there, that's a 5-1 break for these defenses. Still a 4-2 split. That's definitely not bad. You know, they're probably extremely happy about that right now inside of the comms. But either way, still have a game to finish out. But for DarkZero, not necessarily the start that you want. There really wasn't anything insanely promising about their consulate attack. So I'm hoping to see something fresh and something vibrant here on defense.
A lot of utility clear coming in for the Soniqs in the meantime here. Flores being brought out alongside both Ashe and Zofia, so looking to deal at minimum with the utility and at maximum a whole lot of floorboards here really quickly for the side of the Soniqs, as they're going to try and set themselves up for opening up that site for attack a little bit earlier on than maybe DarkZero was able to leverage towards on their own attacking half. Early on, though, going to see a lot of the same notes to a certain extent coming out from DarkZero, most notably in that extension up to the second floor coming in from Hyper. It's a bit different, though, for DarkZero, as they'll have some utility assisting them from the basement, most notably BC playing onto the pulse, providing that extra bit of intel against where the attackers may be shifting towards. If they're going to spot Kansan right now, for instance, that'll be a great bit of intel to counter this out. It's more than likely Kansan's going to be looking for the clear against this upstairs hold relatively soon.
Well, slow and steady right now for the Soniqs, but they do indeed have control of console office and in turn this entire top floor, although
there we go, there's that
more than
intel.
likely unbeknownst to them as for right now. Might be a double nitro cell, and it will be both actually secured from BC down low with the cardiac sensor. Nice team play there from Pambazoo and Hyper. Fantastic comms back and forth, procures both of those, and now Soniqs, well, not in the greatest of positions when it comes down to it. They still have Super up with the hard breach, obviously Yeti with the secondary hard breach, and Kansan on the Zofia. So this is still doable when it comes down to it, but the issue is that BC is still going to exist throughout the rest of this round, so he'll keep a nice bead on their location with that cardiac sensor throughout.
Kansan continuing to analyze any options, or more importantly, obstacles that might be getting in the team's way when they work themselves down into the basement. Still with a minute and 15 seconds to play with here as well. The kills that DarkZero picked up happened very early on in the rounds. This is one benefit that the Soniqs will get. The DarkZero didn't necessarily have to play with all the time, is that Soniqs commit themselves and finish the early clear relative. Oh, no. This could be interesting. Yeti flirting with a drop down. He did just have a player go directly behind him. It's Hyper here, but now Hyper sitting right below this position, so he could have a surprise coming his way in just a moment. The drone going down should alert Hyper as to something coming around the corner, but he's going to expect it from the staircase, not from the hatch drop. So Yeti sneaks in, gets the opener. Problem is he can't really move forward too aggressively right now. He's going to try to spam into that table. Doesn't work out. Kansan gets two on the way, and Eclipse will finally trade out against Kansan, and Pamba stops any forward momentum from Yeti, putting it all onto Super in a 1v2. Low on ammo, low on positioning. He goes down to Eclipse as he closes the gap with the shotty to shut down the round.
Oh, that was some nice stuff there from DarkZero, but what a play from Yeti. Just take the Gone 6 and give yourself an old-fashioned Habana drop. That's something that they used to do back in the day there for a little bit, John. You'd shoot the X-Kairos pellets on top of the hatch, and you'd shoot 2 of them off, and then those 4 pellets would blow the hatch for you, and then you're just allowed to drop, and they did very minimal damage at the time. So you'd drop with like 80 health and just end up like taking out an entire team. There was like a bunch of videos at the time for like Clubhouse kitchen drop, where teams would just drop right into kitchen with like 4 people. It was the most hilarious thing ever. So nice to see that that's worked its way back in, but obviously in different straits with the Gone 6. Still a fantastic kill, but doesn't end up getting Soniqs around, sadly.
A little bit of that old school flair coming out from the Sonics. Nearly gets them the round, but like you said, unfortunately, it does not end up being the case as DarkZero were able to hold on in the 2v1 versus Super and ultimately close things down in their own favor, shifting them away from a basement and onto their split site defense now, where stylistically we could have seen a very similar setup come out from DZ, and to some extent we will get that most notably in the Pulse for sitting on NJR now instead of BC. We do have a little bit more active utility deterrents coming in here. Also, Panda on the Jaeger. We've got the Wamai, as well as those Surya Gates coming in from Hyper too. So wanting to try and extend this hold upstairs once more for as long as humanly possible to delay that forward momentum from the Sonics.
And just sponge up as much of that utility as you possibly can. But that's the biggest issue nowadays, John. Now that Flores has worked his way into competitive play, and not only that, but has quite the spot inside of the meta currently due to how much utility he brings, well, he's worked his way into the Sonic lineup. So we'll see how they want to try and utilize him this time around, as previously we saw Grixer die on his entry into the building via that Nitro cell. So we'll see if they're able to get any of those explosive drones off inside of this round and gets rid of some of this utility. But it's definitely going to be worth its weight in gold when you look at that defensive setup like you were talking about. These gates, as well as with Mamai and Jaeger, all of that sponge that's sitting on the defense, you need an absurd amount of utility to get through this.
A minute gone, all quiet on the field. We have those track stingers out on the gridlock, and Hyper so close on the peak there, but unfortunately for him, the player he's looking for, I believe, is just barely safe behind that half wall, sitting down on the pavement. Away from that, though, Sonic's still looking for an opening strategy, and they have taken some positioning, most notably in the form of Rexen, and on deep as well, with quite a bit of control upstairs here, and he's not alone. He has a teammate sitting right next to him with Rexen and Kansan taking that early control towards vending. They know there's some player presence on the inside, both copy and the admin office, but how much is still up in the air for them. That's why they're being cautious, using the utilities they work their way in. BC with a very nice Nitro cell placement. Nearly takes a few bullets on the way back, but still's going to have that set now, and I believe that counters out the aggression from the Sonics inside copier if they commit to that.
Okay, well, Sonics push as far as they seemingly want to, but oh no. Kansan oversteps, doesn't see the rotate for the bathroom, and it looks like the Sonics finally aware of what's going on upstairs. I was assuming that they were being patient, waiting for some crosses to be picked up from the Sonics, like Grixer here on the window or something along those lines, but that was not the case at all. Instead, tried to get forceful and lose a member in the process. Now it's Rexen simply standing here and vending, waiting to see what the Sonics can do. DarkZero is doing a great job of delaying right now. Rexen trying to be forceful with break room, but instead it's Pambazoo for a double kill now as he continues to take out these Sonics members. Hyper will procure his own, and the Sonics simply getting ran through the meat grinder right now. It's a triple kill now for Pambazoo on the exact same damn angle he has been sitting on for the last 2 minutes.
They're just peeking him one by one. Super's not even attached to any of this action. He's been throwing down track stingers somewhere to the first floor while this was going on, possibly cutting off rotates from yellow as well. So he's going to be sitting here with not a whole lot to do, unfortunately, in the 1v5. I think he's actually just using this final 15 seconds as extra timeout time, as they're going to have one coming up after this round regardless. So they might as well use those extra few seconds as discussion time rather than Super trying to go for a clutch, which, let's be real, it's just not going to happen. Time runs out. DarkZero tie the game at 4-4.
Great time for a timeout, to be completely honest with you. 4-4 right now, not too far gone, so more than likely the best time to try and fix something. But for the Sonics, that round is hell of a black smudge when it comes to the previous rounds that we've seen from them. Their defenses were great. Their offensive so far have not been the worst. They've actually been able to put quite a few different things together. I mean, obviously, inside of the previous round, it kind of just got off to a terrible start. We didn't expect too much from them going into the mid to late round simply because of the circumstances of losing their 2 members very early on inside of that one. But this one was definitely just the Sonics simply overdoing it, especially when it came to Rexen. He's pushing too far forward inside of that scenario. He's not refraggable. They don't have the insight as to what's truly going on inside of that area. It was just very, very rough. He ends up getting taken down by a cross he didn't even know existed. And not only that, but it isn't only 2 people upstairs. There's 3 members of Sonics playing that area that DarkZero have to try, or 3 members of DarkZero, excuse me, playing that area that the Sonics have to deal with, and they just simply could not do it.
pause might be running a little bit long, folks. We'll follow up on that in a second, but just don't be freaked out if that timeout indicator stays up there a little bit longer than it normally does, as there was a little TeamSpeak issue or something while we were setting things up for the coach. But either way, continuing on with the discussion there, such a prominent setup for DZ, specifically for Panbud, but honestly, great support coming in from the rest of the team too. Obviously, you have the play leading into admin itself, making sure that no one's able to push the direct hallway next to the Visa stairs. I believe you even had, like I said, that kind of insurance policy Nitro cell sitting down below in some of the soft breach there in order to punish what would have been any form of momentum through vending to try to wrap onto Panbud in case they try to push him two at the same time. But we never really saw that. Soniqs, as Stokes had mentioned, just trying to take him out one by one, and Panbud winning 3 individual 1v1s over the course of that round allows him to fully maintain control over all of the aggressive action that was going to come out from the Soniqs there, and leave Super with not a whole lot he can do in the 1v5. It's now tied at 4-4. The pause has been resumed, and we're heading back into the game.
Honestly, that's why I'm really happy that we saw the timeout instead of that round, because what you were talking about, right? They're able to push forward, they get up to vending, but right after that, they simply enter what seems to be stasis, right? They don't do too much. They're simply waiting to see what the rest of the Soniqs are going to do. And then out of nowhere, Rexon just creeps forward and ends up getting taken down. Well, he's trying to pay attention to the DarkZero member that's actually inside of admin, not even the one that's actually inside of break. So Soniqs just desperately needed their crosses there. They needed some supporting angles to try and make this not only more difficult for DarkZero, but to actually secure a couple of these frags. It's very difficult to try and do, especially on a map like Consulate when you're not manning windows and you're simply just trying to go at the area through a one-facet push. It's just very, very difficult when it comes down to it. So that's more than likely why the Soniqs felt so burnt inside of round 8. But now we're on to round 9. It's new beginnings for this offense as we get off of this timeout, and not too much of a change up across the board. In fact, none. Super still going to be rocking the gridlock, and Yeti still on the 0. Flores still going to continue to be along for the ride as well.
The last round was not the only time we've seen Soniqs try to kind of throw themselves at a problem, hoping they can deal with it, though. So hopefully DarkZero is catching on to that now and is going to be setting up future kind of kill boxes here to try and abuse that playstyle. Sonic continue to make that mistake. But either way, in the early round here, going to be a lot of pressure going on to Eclipse, as he is alone on the inside of Tellers. Not a great support system, but he does have the rotate to get back down to the basement, which is exactly what he needed in this specific situation. A little bit too hot for him, so he'll fall back, keeping about half of his HP remaining, a little bit safer in that basement position.
All right, well, NJR, very similar position to what we've been seeing Yeti play for the Soniqs defensive setups here on Consulate, as he'll be holding on to admin. He's immediately taken out, though, from the Soniqs member, Grixer, aggressing forward, knowing that more than likely if that reinforcement's there, that somebody's playing the staircase, he'll just simply pre-fire the entire stairway and take down NJR, who has no chance really to fight back. He'll get some damage off, but that's going to be it. DarkZero continue to hold on to this top floor with Pambazoo and Hyper in tow. He'll be holding from front desk over to connector and cutting things off at the projector hatch. We'll see how long they're allowed to hold on to this. We saw this inside of some previous rounds where we saw, again, some similar things from the Soniqs playing these positions, and they usually wanted to try and handle this suicide balcony player. So Rexon must be very, very aware of what's going on around him currently. Smokes down as well as track stingers out as the Soniqs trying to clear out this top floor.
Panbud continuing to dominate inside of this matchup, looking to do it once again, but it's Eclipse that starts himself off well after a little bit of a rough patch at the beginning of this round. Does at least guarantee himself the 1-for-1 before getting traded out just there by Yeti. Ultimately, though, that's going to be the Soniqs taking the lead inside of this round as they bring it to a 4v3 after that pick. But with limited time left, there's still plenty of capability for DarkZero to win out this round. Panbud, in fact, nearly losing himself there as he tries to move just a bit more forward to get some damage off on an impact. He gets taken down by a player on Spiral. That call's already been given, and Hyper's watching it, but Hyper as well going to get forced out of a spot, and that leaves Panbud exposed, now getting taken down by Rexon. The plant's going down in the lobby by Yeti, and I don't believe it's going to get interrupted. BC trying to get aggressive. A very important kill goes out for him, but now he's got to kill the planter as that case has gone down onto the ground. Still waiting for support to come in from Hyper as well, as he's worried about Alert coming down Spiral.
Not even the lurk, but this vertical play that they have to be worried about. Yeti with a beautiful play. He'll stand up from behind the circle desk and take down BC. Hyper now has to try and procure himself a triple. He's going to take so much damage from Sam Fisher and the front lobby. Yeti deals the damage, but the final blow coming from the hatch. Fantastic stuff here from the Sonics as Rexon can finally find his second frag here inside of round 9. Fantastic time for a timeout there. Definitely helped them out with their clear, and they were able to finally get control of that top floor, pull it away from DarkZero, and force them into some pretty difficult positions, especially for what BC had going on inside of Antechamber, having to fight out into Yeti, actually in, the lobby area. Still has to worry about the vertical play. They don't have anybody existing in that area anymore. It's just such a difficult task for DZ to try and get back in that one.
Target selection, excuse me, for the Sonics was honestly just perfect inside of that round as well. We were seeing quite a few of the players on DarkZero try to fall back from their upstairs positions after the pressure was getting a little bit too hot for them to deal with, and all of the supporting angles were being dealt with pretty much exactly as they would have needed to have been dealt with there. You saw most notably the one player that was trying to support the spiral position inside or just outside of Piano there. That one gets shot at from this front window here inside of the connector between Piano and the front lobby. So that player goes down. That leaves Panba exposed. Now he falls. Then that Piano player falls a couple seconds after that. It's really great work by the Sonics to make sure that all these players that are getting forced out of their extended positions are not being allowed to get to their secondary ones to fight later on in the round here.
Okay, well, Sonic's going to be changing some things up. Rexon going away from the Ash, picking up the IQ instead. And this is something that we've been talking about a lot inside of Stage 2, actually, how people have been thinking of IQ, particularly, at least for me, not the biggest fan of the pick. IQ doesn't really have too much to offer when it comes to secondary utility. Yeah, she has some great guns, especially the G8 that everyone loves to talk about, but nowadays she isn't the greatest when it comes to trying to get rid of utility, but she could be quite useful inside of this round, although obviously no Valkyrie going to be in play due to the ban, but she could definitely help keep track of people like Panbazoo. He's going to walk away with the first frag inside of this round as well.
But controlled in the last round, not so much the case here in round number 10 as he immediately gets things started off with a frag against Kansan. One of the drones moving in there to try to hunt down some intel, and we get rid of some utility deeper in Piano as well, but might be a little too out of range for that. Either way, you can see Sonics in position, Super more specifically trying to quickly open up the garage panels and present an early opportunity to attack to the rest of the Sonics, and they'll complete that. Not going to have much resistance come in from BC, as I believe those Electric Claws are worried about restricting something else on the map here. Either way, it's been opened now. Can't stop it. It's now time for the Sonics to get the rest of the first and second floor clear that needs to be done before they finally focus and shift their attention towards the site.
Still plenty of time to do so, and quite quiet across the entire map right now. Not too much movement going on, all except for the whine of drones, as a few of them will be taken out inside of sight, but not before they get some semblance of information as to what's going on. NJR going to be playing pipes here for the cross on the garage. Sonics more than likely going to have the answer to that quite soon. As Yeti seemingly wants to try and get rid of this Electro Claw possibly and get this hatch open. That can definitely have some assistance for that pipes player. As you can see, they have the deployable shield up there, so the traditional angle could be quite difficult to utilize. As Eclipse, a huge play right now. He slips into lobby. Hasn't been droned out just yet, but oh no, it seems like they know. He's going to cross and ends up making it back downstairs alive. Big plays here for Eclipse. Knows not to challenge and instead plays his life and stays up in order to be able to hold on to yet another angle inside of this site for this very moment when Super drops the smoke.
Still waiting for the all clear to come out on the Sonics, as this will be a very, very difficult execute to pull off here, even considering all the factors playing into it right now. Still a lot that's coming down from DarkZero that could cause problems for the team as they try to push their way in. Not to mention the utility has barely been forced out from the defense either. NJR able to smoke out Super, taking him down. Panba with another exchange as well. It's all going by the way of DarkZero as there's just a sea of blue on the kill feed. Rexon, the only one left with positioning towards yellow. A good opening pick. In fact, he nearly gets a second one a few moments later, but that time getting oh so low. Trying to use the gadget to give any intel that might come his way, but it's just not happening. DZ shut it down again and pick up another round for themselves.
Yeah, the GH just like have ammo will travel sort of deal. You know, you just start spraying everywhere and track your defaults and more than likely going to run into a frag. But that's not going to mean too much to the overall story of the Sonics in round 10. That round right there, just very poor when it came to the clear there for the Sonics. They're able to get an initial kill, but they're not able to get too much past that. When it finally comes down to the actual executing at very low time, didn't really bait out too much utility when it came to toxic smoke or anything like that, but it's also going to be very risky with the way that DZ have that set up. So if you try and bait out any of that, like you go and try and fake a plant at like Black Car or something like that, it's more than likely not going to work. It'll probably get taken out. So they go for the smoke play instead. But the biggest issue there was that Super took an absurd amount of damage from the toxic smoke inside of that one.
Yeah.
I think that he ended up sticking the plant, which, I mean, yes, I trust me, as somebody that has played Hard Breach, I completely understand. Get it. But the problem is that he wasn't able to actually get off plant and get anywhere else safe. And he ends up getting taken down because of that. He tries for the sprint away from the plant attempt at the very last second. Toxic smoke ends up taking him down. It's just very difficult at that point to try and get anything going on. You're already a man down and you're starting to lose more people because of the execute.
Well, we're going back to the color split defense here from DarkZero, and that should cause immediate fear for both the Sonics roster and the Sonics fans at home, seeing what happened last time with Panba being allowed to go absolutely insane from the depths of the break room, getting 3 individual 1v1s to completely shut down most of the hopes that the Sonics had inside of that round. And to no one's surprise, Panba's going to set up in the exact same spot yet again here. So we will have to wait and see if he can come out just as successfully inside of a go yet again on that one. But taking a look at the opening few seconds of action, I'm not going to see anything too crazy happening for the Sonics here. Just that same continuation of their drone intel gathering as they try to figure out exactly how to deal with this upstairs setup.
Well, inside of the previous rounds for these top floor holds from both of these squads, it's been a long-term thing. Forcing the offense to clear, taking gunfights, removing utility from them. It's been quite the war, especially from this position here for Panbazoo, and you can tell just how much of a war it has been with the amount of ADSs sitting next to his feet. I believe all 3 of them dedicated inside of Break Room, and this is going to be the same clear that we saw from the Sonics last time as well, but some new things from DarkZero, a very forceful front as they're getting aggressive inside of admin with some nitro cells.
A lot of drone work coming through for the Sonics, specifically over towards Projector, to try and see the rest of that defensive setup looks like. Once again, big focus being on Break Room with Panba, and Panba's not alone. He's got Hyper and one other player on DZ able to support his position also. So it's a lot for the Sonics to get past, and they honestly don't have a whole lot of time to deal with it. Here's the insurance policy yet again from BC, chucking out the Nitro cell down below. Panba gonna try to play around that, even actually I think baiting some shots out here to try to see if he can get a player to step right on top of that and give another free kill over to the DZ defense. But nades coming in. Grixer with a very well-placed one actually gets a good amount of damage off onto Eclipse, but he is still able to dodge a large majority of it. There's that insurance policy coming out, except his Hyper, with the Nitro self-pickup. Not BC just as of yet, so his probably still on the ground and still causing potential issues for the Sonics if they walk on top of it. Regardless, though, DarkZero are ahead now in the 5v4, and it's showing no signs of changing. In fact, I believe the Sonics have given up on the upstairs clear, and are going to try to go for a basement attack now.
Oh, Yeti. Pushing in with the Gone. Doesn't seem like anyone's hurt him just yet either. Second play with this one is he'll get taken down from NJR. He goes for the swing onto Kansan, who takes a lot of damage. And speaking of damage, it's all been dealt to Super. But this round is looking like a Sonics round across the board. They cannot find where the team captain of the Sonics has put the case, and it goes down. DarkZero have to play for the retake into their own basement. If they're allowed to get Eclipse up, this will be a 3 versus 3, and they will do so. So it all starts now. 30 seconds on the clock, but you might as well make it 23, as that's what they're going to need in order to defuse. Kansan with the lead off contact, able to get some damage off. Rexon with a huge kill. Kansan with a double now. Last but not least, Hyper locked up inside of Electrical right now. The cross from Kansan, he'll get him. The Sonics pick up the pieces of round 11 and make a beautiful masterpiece out of it. What a round from them on this offense.
Huge win from the Soniqs there, and an unfortunate turn of events for DarkZero. Once again, they are in full belief that their three-man setup at admin is working. In fact, they waste that first 2 minutes off the clock, and were really not even under much pressure from the Soniqs up until that point. But it seems the issue was DarkZero just does not expect that quick of a switch from the Soniqs, where suddenly, over the course of maybe 10 to 15 seconds, they've gone from full pressure on the upstairs hold to literally everybody pushing into the basement site. DarkZero just couldn't react to that fast enough and unfortunately lost control, gave Soniqs the time they needed to set up their post plan and ultimately win out the 3v3, putting them up on a match point first, and now taking us to another split defense to potentially decide the game. And now we've got a Ying 6-pick coming in for Super, so this could be a fun one for the attack.
Oh, absolutely. That's a sign of a rush or an execute. We'll have to figure out which one, but we're always excited to see a Ying whenever she gets picked up. But, I mean, that round right there, man, such incredible stuff from the Soniqs. And, you know, as someone who's played competitive games for an extremely long time at this point, who's been on a handful of different teams, whether it be whatever, you know, and it goes all the way up to a professional level. The thing that, you know, it comes back to when it comes to fantastic team play and those split-second decision-making moments, like what we just saw there with Yeti in that push, is if your entire team is on the same page. When you start to say something like that and someone goes, wait, we shouldn't do that, you've basically already lost the timing in order to do so. So the Soniqs, you know, it might not be the best strategy in the entire world, but they're sticking to what they think is best and they're making it work. That's why they catch DarkZero off guard inside of that one. We already saw kind of a creative play happen with Yeti previously inside of this map with the Gon 6 with a hatch drop, but this time around it's used in a different way to, you know, force the roam on, or force the rush onto DarkZero down low that they simply could not handle. I love the strategy from the Soniqs here.
So much of the emphasis being put on Pamba. For those who caught it, in his setup instead of break room, he put all 3 ADSs down right next to him, and I believe he has at least 1 or 2 magnets from the Momai to support him also. So still a massive amount of emphasis on that hold. Wouldn't be surprised at all if we see a similar turn of events for the attack, as they'll probably run into the same issues trying to clear this out, as it is so darn difficult to do so. There's no real way you can push into any part of that side of the map without taking a risk of potentially getting your head popped off by one of the members of the defense. So this is a really good setup from DarkZero. It just has that glaring issue in that if you don't catch the sudden switch up from the attack, okay, now you've got everybody in your basement site and you don't have an easy rotate back down there, as we saw in the last round. So DZ will have to hope in that case that they will hold on to at least a man advantage that can be played off of should the same events transpire once again. But once more, as we see the Soniqs trying to get something done, more than anything though, I believe looking for intel across the map here, as the setup is once again the same from DarkZero.
Is indeed. Panbazoo, as you said, going to be playing in the exact same position with seemingly even more utility than what I talked about the last time, as they've basically thrown everything except the kitchen sink inside a break room because it already has one of those. So Soniqs simply waiting for this push across. They have a lot of utility to be able to clear out this portion of the map, but the real question is, do they go for that? As we saw inside of that previous round, they weren't exactly opt to do it. This time they will, and well, they're going to meet their maker yet again. Last time they were worried about Hyper and Panbazoo, but you know what they forgot, John? Eclipse exists up here as well, and he's seemingly getting a triple kill. Oh no, Soniqs, it seems like this is going to be OT all over this map. As well, they're going to be able to get the 2 upstairs, so I'll actually hold fast to what I'm talking about. Still have to worry about Hyper up top, though. Could possibly get 1. Grixer's been down on the entry here, so he'll get picked up. Yeti gets 1, has the one-on-one upstairs now. We're basically locked into a good old-fashioned matchup. Hyper ends up taking him down. I was assuming that was going to take a little bit longer, but definitely not the case. Yeti goes for the wide swing. Hyper deals the damage that needed to be dealt, and, well, we're going to overtime here, folks, on Consulate, and it's going to be for the first time here today.
And the Soniqs seemingly getting baited into that triple setup towards admin yet again, allowing for them to clean up before the real execute for the Soniqs had even really begun there, and allow for a pretty swift 1v3 at the end of it as well. Despite a nice attempt coming in from Yeti, he's not able to close it out. And as such, like Stoke said, we're going to overtime at a 6-6 scoreline. Immediately, we're going to see DarkZero go back towards their basement defense now that they have the option to do so again.
Well, you cannot exactly blame them. I mean, it seems like Garage is definitely the priority for all of these teams. Really like this site. And honestly, we haven't seen too many successful offenses just yet when it comes to this site either, at least inside of this matchup. Overall, though, you know, looking at Consulate, Actually, Lobby Piano, currently the highest defensive win rate amongst all of the sites at 63%. Garage is actually sitting at a 52. Tellers Archives or Split is at 50. And CEO Median, the very top floor, is 33%. So that's, again, the site that no one likes. And I can't blame them on that one at all.
Ultimately, this is a very comfortable site for DZ in the way that it's generally played out for them so far in this matchup, so not too much of a surprise to see them going back to this. This is just kind of the most straightforward site in the current meta, in my opinion, so I think DZ might have similar thoughts and want to try and avoid any crazy change-ups in the mid-round here that oftentimes have been deciding the winner of the round, have been these kind of one-off events that we're seeing of various nature go on here. But either way, Soniqs are out and about yet again, bringing a very similar flair to the table. The Flores is back once again for Grixer. We're going to see probably a pretty quick opening of the garage panel. The Super bringing the Thermite onto the board once more for this attack as well.
Well, it doesn't look like our social media poll is doing too hot inside of this matchup. I have to say that. BC and Super
really
having very similar score lines, all except for a keynote here or there. BC with an extra assist and Super with an extra plant, but seemingly across the board,
right?
You said what?
At least no one's wrong so far, right?
Hey, yeah, it's basically 50-50. It's really, do you want to argue if the plant means more or whatever, assist BC got is, more influential across the map. But honestly, the argument would more than likely go towards the plant, as that's usually how that ends up going. But either way, Sonic still simply sitting on the outside of the building, not too much of a push into the actual building just yet, especially for piano control. Instead, getting some good insight as to what's going on, specifically around the garage panels. They'll be able to get the central panel dealt with very early on here, at least when it comes down to trying to clear out most of this DarkZero utility, so this will allow them to start working on other portions of the map.
So gone very quiet after that garage panel's been open. The Soniqs, I think, spending a lot of time gathering intel, and more importantly, Grix are trying to deal with some of the utility on site, although that drone going to get dealt with a little bit more quickly by NJR, taking the front mantle of it. Shield in the way, but he's going to get hit by the flash, excuse me, anyway. The one is chucked out, but not really a whole lot of follow-up going to be coming from that. It does panic out at least one of the toxic gas grenades, but with less than a minute left on the clock, that being thrown out now isn't going to be a massive waste of utility ultimately. So we're very close to being at the point where he can just spam those to the end of the round anyway. NJR's got something more important to focus on, though, as he's being directly pushed out from yellow. Takes down one player, but is distracted, trying to get back up on top of pipes, allowing Grixer to move in and finally get an entry going for the Soniqs. Whereas the rest of the team, though, is they're going to be held back by a Nitro, if only temporarily. Away from that, Panva will be lost, going down. Eclipse still fighting on Piano. Also, he's able to take down Grixer and bring this into a 3v3. Panva still a possibility for him to get revived also.
Well, Kansan seemingly having the answer to the piano player, but very low on time. This plant has to go down soon. Super does still have a smoke that he can use to try and make this work, but a lot of difficulty here for them. No nitro cells for the defense, all except for Eclipse, but he's obviously the player inside of Piano. A player goes down, one up close, and BC handles it well. DarkZero keep things together on OT. Keep themselves inside of this one. What a great round there from the Soniqs to be able to get the panels open and start trying to work their way onto site, but simply did not deal with the bastions that DarkZero had to the sides, especially when it came to pipes.
And once again, lack of an additional angle to work their way in with there as well contributes to the issues. So DarkZero take the edge in OT. Is it going to be enough to push them into a victorious position, though? That's now the question of the round. Moving into our first overtime match point, as it will be from this point forward. The Soniqs will have to pull off the same feat that DarkZero just did with their defense coming on the basement side, and we'll see if that will be a possibility. We can see from their operator selections, we're going to be no stranger to the strategy they'll bring to the table, as once again it rings immediately towards that heavy extended play towards upstairs that Soniqs have been leaning on in their entire regulation defensive half as well.
This has been a heck of a game so far, although it seems to be that per round, it really is just like one major mistake that's really getting in the way of them and winning a round, whether it be for either side, right? You know, we've seen Soniqs not able to clear things out, like Panbazoo upstairs inside of Break. We've seen some super interesting offenses from them as well. Just DarkZero really forcing their hand and being like, hey, you better get creative, otherwise you're not going to win this game. And they've been able to do so far. So, you know, I think this has been great, but right now, this is up to DarkZero to try and take it to the Soniqs. This is where the rubber hits the road for both of these squads. This is quite risky right now for either of them, as the Soniqs are looking for an early pick. Grixer will be on the vigil for this one, over towards yellow.
Seems as though DarkZero very much expected this, though. Grixer not going to be able to line up with a whole lot, and the same fate will more than likely befall. Okay, never mind. I have to take that back. Rexon, in fact, is very successful with the aggressive positioning and is going to be able to take out NJR. But Hyper, just as quick on in the response, takes Rexon right back out of the fight, so we're still even in a 4v4.
I don't think any of us expected him to get taken out by Hyper at that angle, but either way, going to be a 4v4 as the Soniqs seemingly trying to fight as many DZ members outside of the building as they possibly can, but it's going to slow up now as we're back to that equal man count. DarkZero start the clear from admin once again here, just simply getting defaults and everything of the sort. They'll be matched up against two Sonic members on the far side next to console office, as well as Grixer actually having to rotate from yellow stairs into stalls on this top floor. So this is going to be where DarkZero ends up battling the Soniqs initially, at least for right now. Could obviously have that adjustment as we've seen from them before and try and just hit the bomb site straight out.
Are trying to be very cautious, especially hiding inside of the bathroom. You can see those two blue silhouettes in the distance as they're the members of DarkZero, that is, are very quickly taking away this control upstairs. Now, they know that the Vigil is somewhere nearby, but towards yellow, there's way too many positions that Grixer could be playing from, so until he takes that drone out right there, didn't have the best of intel. Hyper spamming in there, nearly catching some damage onto Yeti, but he's able to dodge the large majority of it, not to mention the fact that Grixer is still causing issues, and they seem to think he would have rotated back downstairs. Panba walks right past Grixer. Obviously, Panba not necessarily having a way to catch that. Eclipse is going to have to check the inside of the bathroom instead. And the good news is, he is doing that right now. He seems to suspect the player on the inside, and he's going to be able to take him down. Grixer goes out. That's an advantage over to DarkZero now as we enter a 4v3 with less than a minute on the clock.
Oh, Grixer has got to be angry about that one. The trigger discipline was beautiful there, but Eclipse had an inkling, and he was right. Ends up taking down the last Soniqs member off-site. Yeti now trying to pick up the mantle as he's standing at the top of bottom spiral right now, staring into Z. You can see the sledge through the wall begin his work as Eclipse is breaking up the flooring to try and support his remaining DarkZero members downstairs. They're looking to try and get a plant opportunity soon, and that's why Yeti springs to action. He'll move forward just inches into Z now as he has a fantastic opportunity here to pick up quite a few kills, but oh no, Yeti, he doesn't do it in time. He's the last one on the flank. Can he stop the plants? No, he can't get the kill onto BC. Instead, he adjusts to the other side of the black car.
What?
He'll take down Hyper, but Eclipse forces it to yellow, the SMG 11 in hand, and he'll claim DarkZero's first win here up against the Soniqs, but their fourth overtime win across the board.
Yeti nearly sneaking off yet another round there, just taking players down one by one. But either way, DarkZero are able to contain the chaos and finally control another map for themselves as they take Consulate here in overtime. Once again, 2 points go up on the board for them in the overall rankings. The Soniqs will still get a point for today's action as well, but unfortunately one less than their opponents as they're not able to get the win here in overtime. Either way, though, a well-fought match by both teams.
Oh yes, an amazing matchup between these two, and I think if you guys look across the scoreboard, that really shows there's really no lackluster play from anyone. Even the hard breachers showing up when it mattered. We saw some great plays from Super, some great plays from BC. I just think it was a very well-played Consulate overall.
All right, and with that said, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for myself and Stokes for now. We still have the final game coming up in a little bit, but we are going to go to a short break. When we come back, we'll have Veli in the desk to break things down from this exciting match.